You drongo.
You.
Here's what it is, mate. Here's what it is. We're out of every competition. Here's what it is, mate.
It's part of the fun, you see.
But I don't really see how I could be held accountable for that. We've got injuries.
I couldn't
Moussa
give a shit.
Dembele left the club a decade ago, and I'm furious about it. Hello there, friends, and welcome back to another episode of Football Manager Therapy. I am your host, Rich Owens. Joining me this week, it's the full FM team. Dee's here, Jeb's here, Steaky's here. Steaky's back from his 1 week absence. Steaky, how are you, my friend? How have you been? What's news?
Yeah, I'm very good, thank you, mate. Yeah, not much has happened, does it really? Nothing's happened in the world of anything, an online game, nothing like that. No, and nothing's happened in my life either. So definitely didn't go to any football matches or anything yesterday either. There's just nothing's happened. Everything's the same. I'm good, honest, promise. How are you?
Golden, mate. Yeah, it's just nice to have you back, Steaky. It's just nice to have you back. And it's nice to know that nothing has changed. Nothing at all. Nothing. Continuity is important. Jeb, how are you, pal? Down there in the corner.
Yeah, I'm okay.
Oh, yeah. Good.
I'm okay.
Good.
I tried on a load of hats today and I made a video.
It's a very good video.
Yeah, it's a very, very productive Sunday. Really productive Sunday.
Mm-hmm. All I'm saying, if you like Jebbaroo and you like hats, it's the one for you. It's the video for you.
Right.
What inspired all the hats? You just really like putting them on, taking them off
I've
again?
got loads of hats, yeah. And then
Just got loads of hats.
Laurie had a few hats, so hats.
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 Hats. Hats.
Hats. Magic.
Hats. Good. D, how many hats have you worn today?
Oh, just the one. Just the one today. This one. All day. Haven't taken it off. It's quite gross, actually. But, I wore a different hat yesterday.
You did wear a different hat yesterday.
I did.
You did. You did.
It was.
We lost subscribers because of that hat. I heard.
Look, if you're one of the 2 subscribers who unsubscribed from the podcast on YouTube yesterday because of Dee's hat, we promise he won't ever wear it again.
I won't promise I won't wear it again.
We can't.
I love that hat.
We can't enforce that at all. I've made a bold
lucky
claim
hat,
there.
isn't it? Now I guess so,
It's a very lucky hat.
Yeah.
It's come up now. I feel like we can't really move away from it. Why is that hat lucky, D? What happened yesterday that made that hat good for you?
Well, it's an interesting question, Richard, because we had a little FMT day out, didn't we? We had a nice little gathering. Obviously, Steaky was invited, but he went to go and see something else. And I don't know if you feel happy that you went to see the other thing.
I mean, it was a really, really good match, but we lost, so no.
Fair enough. But we went to go and watch my team, West Brom, play against your team, Rich, Sheffield Wednesday at the Hawthorns. And we had a nice little day out. We met some Australians and helped them get into the stadium. That was a fun moment. That was surreal.
We did.
We got free hot dogs out of it, though, so that was cool. And West Brom won in the 96th minute, 97th minute, right at the end of the game with a lovely little sort of side of the foot flick from Jason Malumbi. And there is a video on our YouTube channel and Twitter of me enjoying that moment.
It's a good video.
I'm also in the video.
Yeah.
You're enjoying it as well, which is really weird. It's now been emoted by Rogie, which is amazing.
It is, yeah.
Great emote.
It is a very good emote. Thank you, Alan. Appreciate your work, as always. For context, I was sat amongst home fans, so I couldn't look too disappointed when we conceded the 96th minute winner. So I just had to give it a little thumbs up, didn't I? Give it a little thumbs up. So that was nice, but it was nice to get together with friends. That's the way that I'm looking at it. We had a lovely time.
That was more important.
That's
way more important than the game.
Significantly so. Significantly so. The game, of course, of the first half was absolutely dire. The second half had some moments, but just... I was promised... I do have a bone to pick with you, actually. I've got a bone to pick with you. I was promised buttocks. I was promised an afternoon of buttocks, and the promise was not delivered on.
Again, let's give it a little bit of context. We were sat in one of the corners. It wasn't like this is like an agreement as to why sort of I'm still on the pod. But we were sat behind one of the corner flags, and I think we had one corner in front of us for the whole game.
One.
And
One
the other
single
corner
corner.
flags probably saw about accumulatively 15. We had one, and the person taking it was taking it with the wrong foot. They were doing an outswinger, so you didn't even get to see his bum.
Bum deficient. If I had to describe my day yesterday, cheek deficient.
Yeah.
But I had a great time with friends. Jeb, as a neutral, sat between two diehard West Brom and Sheffield Wednesday fans. Did you have a nice time? Did you have a nice day at the football?
We say neutral. I literally got a Sheffield United badge with a name on it. It's great. Neutral, yeah, sure. Let's go with that.
Yeah, sure. It was. There was a really interesting. It was like watching. There was part of it. It was like watching somebody stream on delay, because we went to go get a drink at half time, and because we were the last people in the queue, we had to stand. We weren't allowed back into the stands with our drinks, so we were watching the game on the TV being broadcast live. But there's about a 20-second delay between the game and the broadcast, and then there was cheering, but it wasn't enough cheering for it to have been a goal for the Albion. So I just assumed it was a goal for Sheffield Wednesday. And then the replay showed it, and it was Masuba, and he'd burst down the flank, and he'd scored, and then I was very, very happy. And then as I was starting to celebrate that goal, louder cheering, implying that it had been ruled offside. And there was just a 20-second window where I didn't know what was happening, and I was very, very confused. And yeah, it was disallowed. So that was fun. It's like watching somebody stream when they put celebrations in their chat, but you still haven't seen the goal they've scored yet. So just spoilers.
A
Spoiler
27,000 person strong spoiler alert.
Essentially, yes. It was awful as well, because he was on the advertising boards. He was giving it the big into the away fans, and you're like, oh, go on, lad. And then you go, oh no, you've gone early. Tone it down. Bring it back. You've gone too quick. Bless him, though. Bless him. But wonderful to see, friends. That continues my now decade-long streak of not having seen Sheffield Wednesday win a game that I've gone to. The last time it happened was, Christ, I'm doing maths now. 13 years ago was the last time I saw Sheffield Wednesday win a game of football. I've been a fair few times since then, but yeah, that was scarier for me, because yesterday, comparatively nice, everyone was. I think there were a couple of the Wednesday fans sat fairly close to us. You could hear people saying nice things about the club. Last time I was sat kind of with all the home fans behind a goal in Barnsley, and I watched Sheffield Wednesday win 2-1 there, and that terrified me. I was very, very nervous. I didn't celebrate until we were back on the M5, just in case. Absolutely awful, terrifying experience. So that was nice. We got to do a nice thing this week. I think, in hindsight, the only nice thing to happen this week. Not the only nice thing.
Yeah, I was going to say, there's still other things that happened that were nice. I don't know what they are.
Neither do I. I can't think of a single one. But things have happened. We should probably talk about Football Manager, shouldn't we, fellas? Because it's a Football Manager podcast.
Do we have to? Do we actually have to?
I feel we should. Have to is a strong word, but I feel like we should. It's if we don't do it now, Steaky, it's probably going to come up another time, isn't it? So we should probably just do it now, shouldn't we? There's been an announcement about Football Manager 25 this week at about, weirdly enough, 2:30 in the morning on Thursday, I think.
Yeah, it came from Japan like the other announcement we wanted. Remember that last announcement they were waiting on? We're waiting to see what happens in Japan with the frog. Wait a minute, did the frog do the announcement? Did anybody actually look
It's
into
possible.
Was everyone just look over the anger bit and it was actually the frog that announced the disappointing news? Yeah.
Yeah, I think the frog scheduled the tweet. I think that was the issue. I've made a mistake scheduling the podcast release times in the past, so it's easily done. Obviously, FM25 is no more. SI Sega put out a joint statement 2:30 in the morning on Thursday announcing the cancellation of the game. Reactions across the internet have been mixed. I think it's safe to say. But yeah, we finally have that confirmation, I suppose, because there was the promise of the gameplay footage for the end of January, and then that didn't happen, and then there was, I say, quite a lot of people say radio silence, as it were, from Sports Interactive over the next few days, and then Thursday morning we got that announcement. Collectively, as a group of people, was that met with an enormous amount of shock? Or in seeing it, was it more of that kind of, Homer Simpson and Bart chasing the pig? It's still a little delayed. It's still good. It's still good. It's just a little dirty. It's still good. It's just a little airborne. It's gone. How do we feel about that as a collective? Steaky, give me some well-rounded thoughts and opinions, please, and thank you.
Yeah, I must admit, despite the silence, even though we were expecting the end of January announcement and then it didn't come, and then more and more people saying, well, you've got to say something at some point. And I was just thinking, they could just bring it out in March and not say anything. And I think I was a little bit deluded. I think I was trying not to think about it, really. Because when you think about it, that amount of silence, there's got to be something wrong. And clearly there was, because they've had to cancel the game. But I think I'm a little bit relieved, which is really weird to say. And that's going to be the first opinion of the FMT is going to be, I'm relieved that it's cancelled. No, I'm relieved because we don't get all the speculation anymore. It puts to bed the whole, this has happened and this has happened behind the scenes and this has happened. It's actually going to be delayed till April. And this person's been fired and Sega have dropped the entire game and we're never going to have another Football Manager ever again. It kind of put to bed all of these horrible rumors that people and emails that were being sent around to some of the big content creators that they were then posting on Twitter about how someone knew Miles Jacobson and he looked really sad at the football the other day. And there are some weird things being sent around. And I'm so glad that has ended, but it has ended with probably the worst news we could have had, apart from SI is no more, which was touted around a little bit. Not having a game is really sad. That's my overwhelming opinion, is that I'm quite sad, and I'm also upset for the people involved in making the game, because I know for a fact that they've been working their butts off for ages, and for it not to happen and for that work to come to nothing is really upsetting for them. And I'm sure there'll be questions asked in amongst their back rooms and their offices about what's happened and how they can prevent it from happening again, and blame and things like that. And I know that kind of environment to work in is horrible. If something has gone wrong in your business and those kind of questions are being asked, it's just really horrible place to work. You wake up in the morning, you don't want to go in. So my thoughts are with those people who worked on the game, and my thoughts are with the people that rely on the game for money. So the larger content creators that rely on the game and anyone around the game that relies on that income, because they're going to be the ones that are affected by this. And though that's where my heart goes, really. I'm not going to make any gestures by saying my heart goes out to you, but
thank you.
Yes,
appreciate that.
That's how I feel. I'm sad that the game's not coming out from my perspective, and I'm worried about the people involved, and I hope that they're all okay. Really, that's how I feel.
It's valid. I think it's very articulately put as well. I think my big takeaway from that is what we've said all along, and I know, our friend Kev has been incredibly vocal about it as well on his social media. At the end of the day, Sports Interactive are people, and I don't think anybody's going to be more disappointed than them that they've had to make this decision. So I get that. be kind. I think if only one of us had that on a sign above them. It's Steaky. It literally says it, be kind to one another. Although I will be honest with you, Steaky, when you first turned on your camera, I read be kind, and then the effect where your brain just starts to fill in other bits and pieces. I saw the one. I thought it was a lowercase t, and you'd run out and you'd gone a bit Yorkshire with it, like be kind to one another. I'm illiterate again, as it turns out. What are the chances? Reading and writing are a struggle for me. It's weird I enjoy Football Manager so much because it involves quite a lot of both. I mean, D, when you woke up on Thursday morning, were you equally as surprised and shocked by the news?
Yeah, it was a surprising thing to wake up to. I mean, it was, again, yeah, sort of stirring around 8, 9 a.m. and then looking at my phone and seeing, oh, there's a notification for Football Manager, sick. Opened it up and then sitting there sort of half asleep, like not quite, brain hasn't quite fully turned on. No, it was a full like, all right, get out of bed, go and get my glasses, put them on, and right, okay, I actually need to like properly read this. And went through the whole thing. And obviously, like Steaky said, it's a little bit disappointing that we're not going to have the game, because I think we were all looking forward, as we do every year, to be playing a brand new Football Manager. And again, yeah, can only sort of reinforce, I feel for the guys at Sports Interactive. They've obviously been working really hard to try and get this game out, haven't been able to. And yes, it is. I think it's frustrating. I think for again, quite a few people on you can see online are frustrated that the game's come out. Not angry that we're not getting a game. It's a little bit sort of, I think the way it is in my head is I'm kind of burnt out on 24 now. Like there's a bit in my brain that's like, I don't really want to look at this for a bit. I almost want to just have a break from it. But so hoping, 25 is going to come out. That'll be a nice sort of way to sort of jump back into it. But now we've that's the game we're working with until probably November this year. Better get used to just carrying on looking at it, I guess, because it's sticking around, which in many ways is great, because FM24 fortunately is an absolutely fantastic game, and they absolutely nailed it. And obviously you add something like the Sassmas skin or or whatever skin someone might be using, but as long as you find a way to keep it interesting to yourself, you can have just hours of fun and not be deterred at all by anything in the game. I think I'm just a bit burnt out because I'm almost at 2,000 hours, and it's just like, and it's all been streamed, so it's a little bit disappointed. But again, I can only echo Steaky. Just I hope everyone at Sports Interactive is doing okay. I hope that they can forgive themselves, if that's even a thing to consider in this moment, and we get an even better FM26 as a result, hopefully.
I think that is an important point in and of itself, is that it's what happens next. And I think it's one of the things that I picked up on, because again, anytime any kind of news like this comes out, the reaction from people, it's so heightened, and they pick up on everything in that statement from SI. It's analysed from top to bottom. And straight away, one of the first things that I saw, and I think it was actually the thing I saw on Thursday morning that kind of, alerted me to it, because it's very, very rare that I have a chance to look at social media on my phone before I even get to work, because, 2 kids and school runs and just generally being a dad. I saw the news at my desk on Thursday morning at work when I was having a coffee. I was alerted to it by, I think the thing I saw, somebody had tweeted, well, is there even going to be an FM26? Because it doesn't mention FM26 in the announcement. And then I read the announcement, and in my head, I was like, oh, is this real? And then, because again, I saw it was there as a screenshot, and then I went on the actual, the FM accounts. I was like, oh no, this looks quite legitimate now. And they said, oh, there's no actual reference to FM26, so are we even going to get that? And you would really hope so at this point, wouldn't you? Just because they haven't categorically said FM26 is going to be the next game in the series. It's the automatic assumption, isn't it? For a game that has been released annually every year since forever, pretty much. it's probably going to happen. And that's why I said in my very, tongue-in-cheek speedrun of reacting to the news, I was like, the next game in this series will be fantastic. You imagine that's going to be FM26 because it's previously been mentioned before. The one thing I was actually really quite happy about is that it took until, I think it was yesterday, before I saw anybody blaming women's football for the reason the game was cancelled. That was really refreshing, I have to say. Well done, vast majority of the internet, at least the corners of it that I look at. I didn't see too many people going, bloody women, they've ruined it for us. It was all their fault. They shouldn't have put it in. Woke nonsense, which was nice. So thank you for having the common decency to not jump to blaming women being in the game straight away. Very, very kind of you. Jeb, I suppose you spend or have spent a long time working kind of side by side, I suppose, with certain aspects of the video game industry through things like Insomnia. Have you ever kind of had to, I suppose, witness this kind of bad news happening firsthand? Have there been instances that you've had to see where there have been promises of delivering something and people just haven't been able to kind of come through with it in any way, shape or form? And I suppose what happens behind the scenes when that is happening?
I don't know. Why are you asking me?
Don't know.
Because you question,
do video games things.
I don't do video games things.
Who's rubbish at delivering on time, Jeb? Give us names.
I guess Insomnia 73 didn't deliver because it never happened. Probably never will, unfortunately. So yeah, there's disappointment in those type of things. It's a difficult position they were put in. And on the way back from the game yesterday, I've watched a few of the reaction videos. Zealand's came out yesterday, and Zealand's was quite damning, like really went for them. And some of the points he made were kind of valid. It was like, why have Sports Interactive or the guys who they hire at Football Managers do social media and PR just done nothing? Like even just posting some memes or like waiting. I don't know. It's just a really strange way they've gone about it. And I think that's it. Like they've always been open with the community and stuff like that, and they've just kind of ignored them, which is a big shame. And I know your hands are tied. For it to be announced an earnings call is not the way you'd want it to be announced as well. They should have. I guess it gets forced that way, and it's a public thing. It's going to happen, but yeah, if we had a heads up like 6 p.m. the night before, it's like, hi guys, there's going to be some news about FM25 tomorrow. It's not going to be good, or something along those lines. Or yeah, it's difficult. I mean, some of the reactions have been extreme as well. I mean, certain members of the community have said they were going to take up OnlyFans and regretted saying they were going to do that immediately. Aren't you, D?
I've been thinking about it for a long time, Jeb. Thinking about it for a long time. Had the Only Dans running for a bit. Incredibly successful. So I think it's time to go professional, really.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Anyone want to help? No? All right.
No. I'm keen.
But it's weird. I've started playing FM again, like so, just the best time. Like, and I think Dupe's actually the same. Dupe's starting a new save tomorrow, so it's and there's things. Yeah, there's stuff that we can do with FM20. We have to get creative to be a creator side of things. I won't say we're in the lucky position where it's our full-time jobs and things like that, but I mean, I do feel for those guys, and there's some horrible podcasts and horrible things coming out this week saying that FM creators are entitled. They're not. They want fresh content to make videos with, etc., and they can be creative as they want, but it's always going to dwindle down with a podcast. Unless we put some clickbaity title in, we don't get big views. Well, last week worked a treat. But yeah, no, it's I don't know. I think it's just being fresh with it, and I think it's all about the community coming together. And the sad thing is now is FM26 needs to deliver like really, really badly. Like my friend actually, she works for the BBC. She announced it through their the gaming thing. She moved on to be like a gaming journalist for them. So to hear her announcing it, I was like, come on, Mel, don't deliver that news to me like that. Unbelievable. And I did hear that there were some funny bits in. Is like there are like partners across the country like celebrating because there's no Football Manager this year. You know, that type of thing where you're not losing addiction. But no, we're all going to probably still stay on FM24. You look at the numbers on FM24, they're still the same. People are still playing it. People are still playing it to the same degree. I mean, I'm back playing it. I mean, you asked me a couple of months ago, like, it got to a point on the pod where I was just like, I've got nothing to talk about. Sorry, guys. Like, I'm not playing it. Like, I'm playing the network save and I can talk to you there. I can come up with ideas, but I'm actually running out of love for the game, and I've kind of got that back, which is lovely. And now, 9 months. 9 months we've got to wait until the new game's out. 9 months of trying to think of things great, think of things to talk about each week. And it's, like I said, it's not us that's relying on this for a job. I mean, you look at your bigger guys, your Lujos, obviously he's got his Lego, Benji, Work the Space has got F1 Manager, alongside some other bits, but even there's rumours that F1 Manager is not even going to come out this year as well. Like, could be really hard for these guys. So I think it's important to look after these guys as well more than anything. Go into the streams, go watch their saves, go watch the content. They are the best at creating content, so they are best out there.
I think you've hit upon a very important point there, Jeb, in as much as, and again, as we are all in a very fortunate position where this isn't our full-time job, I'm really looking forward to seeing the content that is created over the next 9 months by people who, make FM content. And even if it's the people that make FM content moving away from that and trying new things, for example, we're in a position now where people have told their stories. We've all had long-term saves, because I've been very, very lazy and tired over the last 2 or 3 months. I've still got a tiny bit of storytelling left to do with FM24. Obviously, D's on the medded, his little heart out. Like Steaky has done the impossible this week. There's loads of, everyone's done their stuff. Like Callum is still sloughing to his little heart's content. People have told their stories for the most part.
I've told nothing.
So Jeb's done nothing. I skirted over you because you have done nothing. You're still in your first transfer window, Jeb. Good Lord.
I've been to Morecambe,
a lot of story to tell.
Gone to Sheffield, and that's it. Yeah, I've not finished any story.
Jeb loaded up the save, played a game, went, I don't know what's happening here. I'm going to go on holiday till the end of the season. Yeah. I love it's a move. But we're in a position now where if people want to carry on making content based around Football Manager, and, as we've said many times before, this isn't FIFA, this isn't Call of Duty, this isn't Elden Ring. There aren't the same videos that people can make over and over and over again that are going to retain an audience or, captivate an audience, or just make good videos. I think we're at the point now where, people have done tactics, they've done rebuilds. Gonna have to get creative. The emphasis is going to be on the creative part of content creation for the next 9 months. And I'm really, really excited to see what people are coming up with, because there's going to be ideas. There's going to be things that people are going to do. Like, look at Clates, for example. Clates has recently gone full-time. He's been making loads and loads of really, really interesting videos. You get the impression that is a man that has a whiteboard somewhere in his house that's got, I've got like 2 months worth of video ideas. It's like, well, here's all the videos that I would have done if I'd had more time. Tick, 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 tick. Rattle down them. That's going to be great. But it's going to force people to get creative. Maybe start collaborating with people they haven't worked with before. I think this is a great opportunity for people to get to do that kind of thing as well. Reach out to somebody. If you are watching or listening to this, if you create Football Manager content and you're going, bugger, FM25 isn't coming out, I don't know what to do, pick somebody that you've never worked with before. Drop them a DM. Get on Discord, whatever you want to do. Say, hey, let's do something together. Let's do something Football Manager-y together. And just see what happens, because this is the time that you have to do it. It's almost like it's a free hit for you.
Don't steal our ideas, though. Don't steal them.
Don't steal any of our... Listen, we've had our ideas. We've got so many ideas. We've got 2 ideas. Don't steal those. Don't steal our ideas. Come up with your own ideas.
Here's another one.
And do them.
I've got it on in the background. So I just picked a football video to put in the background. Make your own version of Own Goals and Gaffs with Danny Baker. There you go. Make an FM version of
perfect. I think for little to no money, you could probably afford to get Danny Baker involved. You can't get on telly for love nor money these days. You can phone up Danny Baker. I've just seen a goalkeeper head a ball into his own net. He will be round yours within half an hour to do audio commentary. Bloody loves a bit of it, does Danny Baker. There you go. There's things to do. There's things to do out there. I'm in the same boat as the three of you. Shockingly enough, I'm disappointed there won't be a new game. I think disappointment is something that needs in this context at the moment to be expanded on. I am disappointed because I enjoy playing Football Manager. I'm not disappointed in anybody. And I think that's an important distinction at this point to make. I'm not disappointed in Sports Interactive. I'm not disappointed in Miles. I am disappointed because I really, really like playing Football Manager. I was very, very much looking forward to this version, and I am disappointed that I won't be able to play it. That I'm not pointing a finger. I'm not blaming anybody for that. Jeb, I think you raised another very important point in terms of the communication. I have strong feelings on this, shockingly enough. One of the very few things in this whole thing that I have strong feelings on. I kind of get the silence to an extent, because the absolute vitriol that every announcement they've put out since the initial delay has been met with on Twitter, on Reddit. My goodness gracious me, the comments on Reddit about the delays and everything else. You've got people calling for Miles's head. Like, his position is untenable. No, it isn't. It really, really isn't at this stage. It's like, yep, SI need to dissolve. They should be ashamed of themselves. No, they shouldn't. Like, if you have bad news to give and you know that it is going to be met with anger and in some cases hatred, I can understand why you would be incredibly reluctant to put that communication out there. Because just knowing the level of the abuse that they've received from some people. And I mentioned it before, the comments on women's football from a lot of people involved, which people like Alan Brazil have helped loads with this week. What a man. No, not at all. You just don't want to see that. I don't enjoy opening Twitter at the best of times anyway, just because every now and then I'm very selective in who I follow on Twitter. Something slips through and you just see something awful. And you don't want to be on the receiving end of that. Do you remember the South Park where Butters starts managing Cartman's social media for him and he just becomes skeletal and depressed after 2 weeks? How can one person sift through this much hatred on a daily basis? That's what it must be like. And if you've got to put out an announcement that says, look, we're really, really sorry, the game's being cancelled, or there's going to be a delay in us being able to show you footage of the match engine. Anything that they've put out there has been met with such anger and just, I get why they would be reluctant to communicate that with people. I get they would have known on the 31st of January that FM25 wasn't going to be released. And there was so much public outcry over, we haven't heard anything, what's going on. That started a week before. We haven't heard anything. It's now the end of January. You have people like Nerdphonic putting up, it's like, hey, here's a really helpful, here's a useful tool for everybody. It's a calendar. There are 7 days left in the month. Absolutely wonderful. But people were getting angry prior to the deadline for the announcement. And you just see that anger and rising and rising and rising and rising and rising. You don't want to communicate with people. You don't want to give them bad news because you know that it's not going to be met well. And I think people will say in hindsight, well, if they had said something a little bit earlier, no, you wouldn't. You wouldn't have been calmer. You would have been more angry. So I get it. Still a shame the game isn't coming out, but I think this kind of goes with, we said it before, transparency. We're lucky to have Sports Interactive. For the most part, they communicate with their audience, their player base very, 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 very well. And it feels like that is suddenly being taken for granted very, very, very quickly from a lot of people. And you say, Z's put out a very, very damning video on it. That reaction, it's not helping that narrative. FM is cooked. It's not though, is it? It's not. I don't think it's cooked. The fact that, Sega have allowed them to delay it or cancel it with a view to releasing another game later on in the year speaks volumes in the faith that a publisher like Sega has in a company like SI. I think that in of itself speaks volumes. If that statement had come out and then the next day Sega had said, just so you know, we're dropping the Football Manager franchise moving forwards, that's a much bigger problem. But they've given them the opportunity to release another game further on down the line, which I think is only a positive thing. I wasn't expecting to have valid thoughts or opinions on this, and I'm surprised that I've been able to talk. I'm as frightened as everybody else is about this. Like, good damn it, Rich, I'm saying stupid. But that's, I get it. It makes sense to me.
Yeah, I think it's just, I don't know, it's difficult. Like, it's a rock and a hard place. I think that's the easiest way to put it. That's where they were. Like, they can't release anything because people will go, oh, no, that's rubbish. Why are you doing that? Even if it might have looked all right. There's always going to be negative and naysayers to everything that they say. I think it's just to say nothing. You just get your press release and that's it. And it kind of just takes away that community aspect a bit. And the issue now is like, all right, FM generally comes out in November anyway, but now it's going to come out same time as a Call of Duty, same time as a FIFA, and now same time as a Grand Theft Auto. They're going to lose a lot of that initial sales. Like, people have got a lot of money to spend. Like the crossover, I mean, probably not for all of us, well, for most of us here, but the crossover for a lot of people, FM's probably going to be picked up a lot later than they expect. I don't even know if they could even just go with the pre-orders, we'll carry it over to FM26 and we'll give you a little bit of discount as well to say sorry. But I guess they don't know. I mean, I'm going to put it out there. I know people have said they've not mentioned FM26 as a thing. Is this where it becomes a subscription model? And you get an add-on every year. Are they going to be the first sports game to finally do it? Because why hasn't FIFA done it? It didn't really change year to year. They had a couple of extra features in, but could it be a subscription model? Could it be something you pay so much a year for, which you do anyway, but they just send you the updates?
I think Salty, friend of pod, lovely man, Salty, I think he had a similar idea as well, is that it could possibly go into that sort of subscription-based thing, which, grand scheme of things, I'm not necessarily against, really, if it helps Sports Interactive. Yeah, I mean, I don't know what you guys think of if it went to a subscription instead of it being a yearly purchase, but
I hate it. I hate that idea. I hate it so much.
Yeah.
Just to poo-poo everything and get angry about it straight away, even though it's not happening.
Yeah, why not? Can you hold back on your thoughts, please?
I just think that kind of situation, how to put this in the nicest possible way, I think you're hoping that people forget that they're subscribed and continue paying for something that they're not playing.
Yeah.
And that comes across to me as disingenuous. And that's why I don't like it, because you're kind of hoping that people with too much money, I mean, I suppose if they've got too much money and they don't care about it, they won't be cancelling their subscription, and that's fine. You waste your money if you've got loads of it. But it just comes across a little bit shady to me.
I get it.
A little bit, yeah. Like, I mean, I don't understand, and it's something that FIFA or EAFC, Ultimate Team, how much gets spent on that a year? Like, you're talking billions and billions of stuff. Why is the EAFC as a base game just not free then? Why not do it that way?
Agree with that.
I mean, obviously, profit margins that need to go up and up and up every year, but it's those. I don't know which way FM would do it as well. Like, it's difficult, but I think FM26 it's got to be so big and so polished. Like, you can't have a year's delay. That's what it'll be, essentially, for a game. Mm-hmm. And then they go, oh, there's no international management. Or we haven't got, it's those bits. Like, they need to be quite forthright and say it's got this, this, and this. It definitely won't be delivering this. And this is where it'll be. So maybe another roadmap comes out. Something along that. Maybe they go, right, weights aren't going to come back at all. They're like, deal with it. And then that'll be 4 years of people complaining about that. But
it's the only reason I play the game. I base a player's ability not off their attributes, not off their personality traits, but heft. That's what I look for. And
I think the issue is, I don't know if they've forked out a load of money for licenses for this year as well. I don't know if all that money's gone down the drain. I mean, they've obviously lost a massive revenue income thing, so they're going to be under pressure for this game to deliver as well. Like I said, all those crossovers with the added, here's a Grand Theft Auto game for the first time in 15 years.
Yeah, it's like that.
It's just like that, and that's not going to be cheap. It might not affect us anyway, because it's probably not going to get on PC for another 2 years. So,
which is a valid point. I think I'm going to play devil's advocate here. I think if it went to a subscription model, more of an annual subscription than a monthly, because I get your point completely, Steaky. There are a significant number of things that I have previously signed up to where I've forgotten that the free trial has ended. For example, I have a reminder set on my phone for next week that my 3 months of Apple TV free trial is ending, and I have to cancel the subscription. I check that notification 4 times a day, and I'm still convinced that I'm going to miss it next week. Like that's that. I will be the first, but in 6 months' time, I'll be sat on this podcast and I go, I forgot to cancel Apple TV. Silly sausage. That's cool. If it's an annual subscription service, go on.
If it's an annual subscription, sorry, this is just my thoughts of how the internet will work. When somebody gets annoyed with the game and there's no goal scored, I want it to be a physical subscription. I want you to have a piece of paper so somebody can rip it up on the internet, get on social media. I've had enough of this. I'm ripping it up. Ripped up a subscription.
They'll post you one. They'll post you one. That comes with the subscription. You get a physical everything. I've just
like a thick manual every page.
In your face terms and conditions. Like, yeah, I think you should have the opportunity to rip something.
Miles is buying a coffee in London and somebody just throws some paper in his face. I was like, oh, that's my subscription, Miles.
Yeah. We lost 2-1 at the Hawthorns and I'm furious about it. See, from before. I think if it's an annual subscription, then it gives people, because again, there'll be hype, won't there? There will be advertising, there will be roadmaps for oncoming updates. If it was an annual subscription service, I would be more in favor than if it's monthly. Monthly subscription services, I cannot get on board with at all. I'm completely with you on that one, Steaky. Also, if it was the direction that they were going to go in as a studio, arguably, this is the best time to be doing it because it is brand new match engine, brand new game built from the ground up. And as you rightly say, Jeb, there are things that they absolutely have to get right. And I still think we'll see a roadmap like we have for every other FM that has come out. I think there has to be very specific. Look at what we have done. Look how good this is. Look at all these wonderful things that are included in this game. And if they're going to go down the annual subscription route, this is what you are paying for. And I still maintain, people like Lelujo say it all the time, and I agree with him very much on this, best value for money game that most people that play buy every single year.
Yeah, 100%.
You could probably add up the amount of time that I spend playing all of the games over the course of a calendar year, and that won't cumulatively come to the amount, add up to the amount of time I spend playing Football Manager. A lot of that is because of streaming, yes, but I still only stream it because I enjoy playing it. So I'd still play it if I didn't stream. I'd still play it. I played it a lot before I streamed. I'll play it a lot forever. So that makes sense to me. But if they're going to go down that route, now would be a better time to do it than if they were, let's say FN26 comes out later this year. For FN27, if they try to switch to that service, people, maybe not because you've just released a brand new game. But if they're going to do it, now I think is the time for them to do so. But again, I'm with you, Steaky. A monthly subscription for a game service, absolutely not. Stinks. And I would lose it. I would lose, I've said be kind, and I maintain that, but I would lose respect if it became a monthly subscription model. I'd not be cool with that. I don't think that's correct.
I think for the monthly subscription to work and how other games currently utilize the monthly subscription is that there is then a monthly update with new characters. So, for example, I know it's technically free right now. You couldn't do that with Football Manager, obviously. I know it's free right now, but the game pass that you get, battle pass you get for Marvel Rivals, for example, you buy it for the month, you complete all the challenges, you unlock a load of stuff, and then the next month there's another one which incentivizes you to pay the subscription again. You can't do that with Football Manager. You can't be like, I want the
Fantastic Four.
The Fantastic Back Four.
No.
They join your team.
No. The Fantastic Four is very clearly Sam Allardyce, Neil Warner, Callum Pardew, and Tony Pulis. You win them as your assistant managers.
Yes.
I don't want it. I've changed my mind.
I'm all for it, lads. Yes, subscription model. Let's go.
Adding a
the annual
pass
one
to
would make more
FM would be
sense.
amazing. Yeah.
I'm saying this out loud now. Future episode idea. We each pitch things for the inevitable Football Manager monthly battle pass. just there you go. Things we'd like to see. Alternate skins for your manager.
On. Yes.
Yeah. There's a dragon that flies around my stadium. It's ever so weird.
If you get a good enough KD ratio, then then you can choose a tactical nuke to place on the pitch, take out the opposition.
Oh wow! You can get
we scored 7-0.
You can get D-Stream and zoom in on corners. Just the corner taker.
Good. See, there you go. Some good has come of this. Thank you, SI. There you go. There's at least one other good episode we're going to get out of this podcast. Bless them. Look, I think my final question on this, because look, I get it. It's been a whole thing. What happens like now? What do you think the next thing we're going to hear from Sports Interactive is going to be? Because they've been very clear in their statement. They've been very clear for the reasons that the game has been delayed. As they said themselves, they didn't want it. That they weren't happy with what they had. It wasn't ready. They didn't want to cyberpunk. They didn't want a No Man's Sky situation where they just released a half-finished game and it was terrible. What happens now? Because as I say, they're still working towards the next game in the franchise, which is I'm still very, very happy about. I'm very, very excited by. What happens next I think is going to be important. What do you think the next thing we're going to hear from Sports Interactive is going to be? And more realistic, how long do you think it's going to take for them to start having that conversation with people? Because as you say, it's the silence. Part of me, I'm not defending, but I kind of understand. There is some of that goodwill that has been eroded. So how does that get fixed? They've already said they can't do a big data update for FM24. That was covered previously. A lot of people have asked for it and then are very angry to find out that they were told they couldn't have it 2 months ago. Where do we go from here? What happens next? Anybody?
It's a great question. I mean, it's as far as like what I would be expecting from Sports Interactive now. I'm fine if there's a little bit of kind of like it was after the last update, like a little bit of radio silence is fine. Like for a couple of weeks while they're sort of again they're going to be sort of feeling a bit bad for themselves in the office. They're going to need that time to sort of like pick themselves back up and be like, all right, let's crack on with this Football Manager game and let's make it the best it can be. But I would like to think that considering how, I don't want to say bad, but how poor the communication has been probably since last September, kind of like we obviously got the roadmap, but there wasn't like a lot of stuff. I'd almost want them to share too much. I'd almost want them to like give us I think we've speculated this one before, but I almost want them to, get like, a weekly blog where they talk about whatever, how such and such is going, like giving information on what they're giving attention to, like weekly videos of just like, or like a monthly video of a thing that they've just been working on, even if it's like 5 minutes and just seeing like 5 minutes of the process, because again, it helps humanize the whole scenario and it'll help remind people that, oh yeah, this is a group of human beings making a video game that we all care about. And it could get rid of a lot of people's anger towards things, because if they just saw, 4 or 5 human beings just going, oh, so if we try this, it does this, and this does a really weird thing with the corners. Why is it doing this? I don't know. Try doing this. Oh, brilliant. Oh, cool. And then you just you see like 5 seconds of like match footage and you're like, oh, that actually looks really good. And it was quite cool to see a little thing of that. I'm not asking for like some guy to sit there and, explain coding for half an hour, but because no one wants that. But yeah, a little bit more transparency, even like little Q&A things. Like we've spoken about it before, but one game company that I absolutely adore for how they are with this sort of thing is Coffee Stain, the guys who make Satisfactory. Thank you, Jeb, for the mug. And and obviously things like Goat Simulator as well. But they do like Twitch streams once a week where they have like an open forum. They do videos on their YouTube channel where they talk about what's going on with the game, updates, various little things. And they just... And it's so clear that it's like, oh, these people are working on a game because they love it. And we love the game you've made. And I think that's maybe something Sports Interactive could draw inspiration from over the next few months, just to kind of... Because I do feel like even though we're obviously, as empathetic as we are and we're supportive and all these things, I do think there is a healthy portion of an unhealthy portion, but a healthy portion of the community that will have negativity towards them. And I think they have got to kind of win them back in a little bit of a way. And I think something like that could really help them. But yeah, we'll see.
I like that. I think that's a really, really lovely idea because again, it's the human element, isn't it? Which tends to get forgotten about sometimes. Put that in perspective and say weekly just weekly, monthly, whatever it may be. Just little Q&As or hey, look at what we've been doing. Even if it's just a whole bunch of people just sat at their desk turning around like, I've been coding something. I've been making this. Look at these wonderful things that I've been doing. It helps a lot. And again, I think as we start to move forwards as well, maybe look when the dust has settled a little bit, maybe a little bit more transparency into, this is what went wrong in terms of the development of FM25. This is why we had to cancel it. This is what we are doing to ensure that those mistakes aren't made again. And it doesn't even have to be, it's not going to be like, basically it's Kevin. It's all Kevin's fault. Kevin ruined everything. Kevin was meant to do a game and Kevin didn't do a game. And everyone's just throwing things at poor Kevin in the corner. We don't want that. But even if it's, some of the different theories and why the game has been delayed have been quite bonkers. And some of the fingers that have been pointed, I've seen fingers pointed at everybody from Miles himself to the studio. Some people have mentioned Nick Madden leaving, for example, prior to the game being rebuilt is going to have an impact. Some people are blaming streamers themselves and the content they're making around the game for the reason that SI decided not to release the game, which is a take. Just a little bit more transparency, just a little bit like this is why we had to do it, and this is what we're doing to try and make sure this doesn't happen again.
Maggio because his name's Sai. Sports Interactive. It's really not Sport Interactive Maggio. It's not.
It's not.
I mean, by all means, blame Sai Maggio, but not for that. So
yeah. I'd absolutely want someone in the. I'd absolutely want someone in the office as well to just double down on the whole, like people that whinge about the women's game being added and just going, I'm just trying to get the user interface to just work right now, but it can't because I'm doing it whilst I'm on the women's football teams and it's really difficult because of the women and just staring just point blank into the lens, just sort of like, this is the problem. It's not the problem. You ruddy clown. Of course it's not.
I can't tell if this striker's overweight, but he's quite large on the screen, but I can't tell. Yeah, he's like, don't know. He looks slightly like the Marshmallow Man from Ghostbusters 2, but I can't tell if he's overweight or not because I don't know his weight. It doesn't tell me.
I don't even know if it's him. They haven't added stickiness as an attribute this year. I just really can't tell if he's made of delicious sweets or not. I'm furious. And then they can explain that. They can explain that in person. That's what I'd like to see. Just a little bit of that. I think that's a lovely idea.
I think it also shows the genuine reach of the game as well. Like it's headline news on BBC Sport website. It's like, all right, you have to do a scroll down past the rugby, but it was like it was on there. It was on Radio 5 when I was listening to it yesterday. I'm sure it was on TalkSport, but choose to listen to that, feel free. But yeah, it's one of those. It's a it's a massive game. Like, even if you look at the reaction videos, like we talked about Run the Foot Market, he did a reaction video, Vizzy did a reaction video. Some of the bigger names that don't normally play Football Manager on stream, they've reacted to it. It's a big loss. What, like you said, what you'd like to see, I think it is that thing from Sports Interactive. Even if it's just like, right, okay, February complete write-off. Don't bother. Just leave as it is. Get to the end of the month. Next month, give us a release date, or give us a right. It's going to be out around here. It's going to have this, this, and this, and we'll say you got this. And then here's a small roadmap of what we're going to do. It could be full of question marks. I don't care. Like, it never really bothered me. At least say you're telling us something this month. All right, don't make it as underwhelming as, we're removing weight. And what was the other one? International management's been removed as well. Because don't make it as underwhelming as that, but get those blocks in place, what we're going to add. And like you said, let's get to know some of these people that are making the game. Let's get personalities behind it. I mean, like you said with Coffee Stain, I did the job with Coffee Stain last year in all those studios. And all the people that we worked with were amazing, and some of them had amazing. But like, one of them was a wrestling announcer for the guy who works for, what is it? Not the Dungeon game. Oh no, completely forgot what it's called. Deep Rock Galactic. The guy, one of the main PR guys for them, is a wrestling announcer. So we did a thing that was called this or that. You pick something from your game, they pick something from their game. They go up against each other. And all the studios went up against each other. The final was Deep Rock Galactic versus Deep Rock Galactic. The guy had a fight with himself. It was great. And there might be something like that that works for Sports Interactive, but there's enough researchers around there. We've met researchers at like various FM shows or FMT. Mm-hmm. They're lovely people. They're lovely people to chat to. Obviously spoke to Nick. We spoke to a couple of others along the line. And I think it's, get some personalities behind what's happening in the game. And it doesn't have to be like showing game footage or anything like that. You could even just tease bits and it's like, we're really happy with what's happening with Women's Game because we're doing this, this, and this. We're really happy with where we potentially get some new leagues, the Premier League license. People have forgot that there's a full Premier League license coming. I mean, that's could be fun to renew when you've got to take all of those teams that have come up to out again, probably. So it's might even get West Brom on that Premier League license. Probably not, but we'll see.
Almost definitely not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think like Dee said, just have that roadmap and give us something each month working up to it, and get more and more as the months go along. And even if it is just a weekly dev blog or something like this week's dev blog's brought to you by them. There's something to read, something just people can feed off as well. And it'll help content creators again as well, because those posts, nobody actually reads those posts. They go watch their favourite creator read those posts for them, even if it is in 26 seconds.
26.05, thank you very much. I've not seen quicker yet. Not even sure anybody's tried, if I'm honest with you. Lazy community.
I mean, that still puts you top of the leaderboard.
Yeah, absolutely
technically
does.
Bottom as well, but top is very good. Very proud of you.
I'm focusing on the top aspect of it, less the bottom aspect of it. That makes me sadder. There we go. I think there's a lot to be a bit sad about, but I still think there is plenty to be optimistic about. And that's, if I had to summarize this segment, or mostly this podcast, if I'm honest with you. Steak, give us no, because last time we had Steak, what he thought, he got really angry, and I didn't like it.
Yeah. You're scared of him now, aren't you?
I'm so scared of him. Steaky, sir, is there anything else you would like to add to this portion of the podcast before we move on, Steaky?
I would hate it if they had any more content produced. No, one thing I would just like to mention there is that you've all mentioned some form of content being produced by SI. What would be really good is for a bit if they championed content creators and things being made around the game, because although Football Manager 25 isn't coming out, Football Manager 24 is still here. FM24 is still here and still going hard. I would like it if they pushed a few more of the cool things that are happening around the community, because they have been completely silent since the delay announcement. It's been absolutely nothing, not a meme, not a joke, as we've discussed. But things have happened in that time. Tony Jameson's thing with Jameson Whiskey and Newport County save with Steve Sidwell, that kind of thing, Football Manager should be dipping their fingers in that, because not only is it good publicity for the streamer and for the whiskey brand, it's also good publicity for Football Manager. And people still might pick up FM24. You can still buy it. It's one of those things that benefits everybody. And if you push the content creators by helping them and saying, yes, this is good content, we liked your video, it was good, even if they just repost some tweets or respond to a few things and said, oh, this is really cool, congratulations on winning the title or whatever, that kind of thing makes people elevate their content even further, and then you get more things and the community evolves from there. And I think the community is really the keystone of everything that's happening here. They're the people that buy the game, they're the people that make the game good, and they're the people that inspire Sports Interactive to make a better game because they want to do it for such an awesome community. And obviously everyone in the community is really upset at the moment, but to champion them a bit further is a great idea. And another thing as well, we're Football Manager Therapy. Obviously, if you are really sad about the fact that Football Manager is missing this year, as I say, Football Manager 24 is still there. Football Manager is a outlet for a lot of people to escape life, to distract them from bad things that are happening, just to put a smile on your face at the end of the day when you're not doing very well, and also a social outreach as well. And I think it's really important that we say that the community is still there. We've not just gone because there's not going to be a game. We're still here. There's plenty of Football Manager content going on. Get involved, reach out, talk to people if you need it, because although it's very sad, we're still here. There's still a community for you to be a part of, and hopefully we can pull everyone through this time. Not necessarily just us four. That's quite a lot to take on, but we as a community, we're still here. We're still here.
Jesus, what have you volunteered us for? God.
We are now therapists for the entire Football Manager community. Hit us with your questions. No.
see what you did, Rich? See what you did when you complained when somebody used Football Manager Therapy this week? Now, oh God, now we're in all sorts of trouble.
Now I've had to declare it as my actual job.
I stand by it. I stand by it. We're not going to name names, but get your own ideas. Do that. I don't know. No, I think that's lovely. I think that's genuinely lovely. I think you are right on both counts there, Steaky. I think that it's important to remember, the massively positive impact that Football Manager as a game has on a lot of people's lives, and that is not to be forgotten. And just because, as you rightly say, FN25 isn't coming out doesn't mean that same level of camaraderie, community is going to just automatically dissipate, and it isn't. People are still going to be there. That is still going to always exist, and that's a lovely thing to remember. And I think you're also very right in terms of the content creation. Shine a light on some of the really, really lovely things that people are doing around the community. It's a huge game. There was a point where the player base was very, very small. And, you had people like Lelujo, for example. You had Work the Space. You had, Loki Doki. There weren't massive amounts of people making content based around Football Manager. That has now expanded tenfold. And there are hundreds of absolutely fantastic content creators, some full-time, some part-time. Shine a light on that. Say, hey, look, this is a really cool save that somebody's doing. This is a really, really fun, this is a fun project that somebody's put together based around Football Manager. Talk about it, because everybody loves a bit of validation from somebody, or, a person, a company, whatever it may be that they look up to. It's a reoccurring joke I make when I'm gigging when it comes to comedy, is that the reason every single comedian in the room is performing that night is because they are desperate for validation from strangers. We all know full well when you tag a club that you are managing on Football Manager in a tweet and they like it or respond to it or invite you down to manage a pre-season game, which I still think should happen more often, professional football clubs. You buzz off it. It's a wonderful feeling. You go, oh, this is fantastic. Look at that. There's some acknowledgement that I'm doing a thing, and they're aware of it and they like it. Lean into that, because again, that buys so much good grace. So much good grace with people. Just absolutely lean into it. It costs nothing. It costs nothing for you to do. It's not difficult to do, to celebrate positive achievements of people. Absolutely go for it. Absolutely go for it. Wholeheartedly. I'd love to see a bit of that moving forwards. I'm definitely glad I remembered to ask you a question there, Steak. That was ever so nice. So, am I allowed to wrap this segment up now, Jeb? Can I do it now?
I guess you spoke to everyone. I guess you have. I guess you've done your job.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Not well, but I've done it, and that's what counts. I get paid for the attempt, not the outcome. Don't get paid for it, but still, the message stands. Look, to summarize what we've been talking about for the vast majority of our evening, I think, yes, be a bit upset you don't get to play FN25, but also there is a future for the franchise. I can feel this being clipped, and then in 6 months' time, womp womp, Sports Interactive have exploded. Play the Curb Your Enthusiasm theme music there. There is stuff to look forward to. I think the franchise isn't going anywhere. I think the community, more importantly, isn't going anywhere. So if anything, don't back down, double down, lean into it, throw yourself into the community, make some new friends, go watch somebody's stream, go watch somebody's video you haven't watched before. Do a bit of that, throw yourself into it, and then hopefully, fingers crossed, we will start to see some more positive information coming out from SI over the next few months about whatever happens next, about what that looks like. Good. That felt nice. I suppose we should probably briefly touch on before we start to wrap things up properly. And it's kind of come up a little bit earlier on. Monday nights for FMT on the internet. We have, of course, for pretty much the last 2 years, been streaming the network save on Monday nights. We finished that a couple of weeks ago with a one season in one night. Which I think we'll definitely
thought a game
because we thought weirdly. Oh no! What prompted that decision-making process? Hard to say. It's been a long time. We'll probably go into that a little bit deeper at some point as well because it was good fun. But Monday nights moving forwards, we now have gaps in our diaries. We would like to fill them with some football managery-based bits and pieces in the long run. There's talk, there's been talk, because at the time of recording, when we finished the final season of the FMT network save, that we were about to move into, or there was about to be, a World Cup. Maybe we will get together at some point and do a World Cup, because we may not have the opportunity to manage internationally for a little while. We never know. Maybe we will. Maybe it'll get added back in by the time FN26 rolls around. Hard to say. Let's speculate wildly about it and why it's going to cancel the next 3 versions of the game. Maybe we do that. We've been saying FMT versus the community for quite a long time now. I think we should probably start rolling some of those out at some point, shouldn't we?
Yeah.
Seems like the thing to do.
Some fun drafts. I'd also like to try, if we can, to sort of organize a versus mode tournament where people bring their best teams from their saves across FM24 and try like a big battle royale of that, if you will.
I like that. I like a team battle royale. That sounds good. And you can get it on the Battle Pass if you pay £6.99 to FMT for the rest of the year.
Patreon tier 56, I think it is.
Yeah, we're
it's on
about
the list
there
somewhere.
Now,
Yeah. Which ironically unlocks at level 55 on the Battle Pass. It's ever so strange.
Only if you prestige, though. Of course.
Only, you got to prestige twice, and then all of your clubs reset. All the youth players disappear again. You have to go back to basics. It's very frustrating. So there's things that we are going to be doing on Monday nights moving forwards. I suppose we'll get a few more details about those out over the next few weeks and months. We have been wildly speculating about one idea that has been had. That I think if we can pull it off, it's got the potential to be very, 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 very good. I did a lot of verys there, and I stand by each and every one of them.
There's actually 2 ideas.
Second
idea there as well, yes. There's 2 ideas.
Double idea.
Yes.
Double idea. Look at us go. We are nothing.
If you listen to previous
not.
things, you might know what it is. You might try and guess what it is. Last week's we definitely gave one of them away. The second one, Yeah, I think we might have stumbled across the 4th game yesterday in the FMT multiverse.
So, eyes peeled, friends. We're gonna be staying busy. Trust me, behind the scenes, we're going to be staying busy. Just because we're not getting FN25 doesn't mean that there is going to be nothing for us to talk about each week on the podcast. Don't you worry about that. But on the subject of podcasts, that very much feels like one. I don't know how the rest of you feel about that.
Yeah, it felt like a podcast.
It was pretty good.
Yeah. Felt quite podcasty.
We're not
delaying. Do you know what's really weird? No, don't think so. Do you know what I felt really, really weird about this as well? I'd say we've been recording for just over an hour now. We've pretty consistently kept it on the rails the whole way through. Look at us go. Personal growth, maybe?
I mean, maybe 200 episodes. Finally, we've learned.
Maybe this is it. Maybe it's cyclical. Like the first 100 episodes, mainly Matt and Tony, kept on the rails fairly well. 100 episodes for me in charge, off the rails, massive disaster. Oh, but maybe now we've learned. We spent some time with Matt and Tony again recently, and we can now just keep it back on the rails for I don't know. It's a big commitment to say 100 episodes of on the rails content, isn't it? Oh, good. Jeb's put a hat on. There it is. There it is. For the audio listeners, Jeb is sporting a delightful piece of knitted headwear. Mm-hmm. Now, interestingly, the way the color of his headphones originally, I thought it was some kind of squid. I thought those were cartoon eyes on the sides, but no, it's just his headphones.
I can see it. Yeah, that's amazing. I wish.
So we finished the podcast. Jeb can't plug himself because he's consumed by a giant squid. Oh no! I'm going to have to, if the podcast ends me just putting a harpoon between my teeth and diving into the bottom right of the screen, I think that would be on brand.
Great.
Oh, we nearly made it through a whole podcast, didn't we? Good. Steaky. People might want to watch you streaming Football Manager and or other games, and allegedly, dare I say, invincible seasons. Where can they find you accomplishing the borderline impossible?
God forbid you want to watch me, but if you do, _steak_bake on Twitch and the steak bake on every other platform that is going, probably. Maybe if not, then that person is a fraud and they are impersonating me. But yeah, that's where you can find me. And hope to see you there. There'll be some Pokemon on Tuesday, definitely, after this podcast is released, with Dan and lovely Y Callum. So yeah, see us then.
Super duper. The squid has temporarily released Jeb from its clutches to plug himself. Jeb, people might want to watch you streaming. Where can they find you doing it? And how many hats will you be wearing?
Can you stop saying plug yourself? It's different connotations. Right, anyway. Yes. Twitch.tv/Jebaroo. I'm currently taking over all of the national teams in the World Cup so we can have a big roulette tomorrow of who might get a job in the World Cup. So, yeah.
Hooray! There you go. World Cup tomorrow. If you listen to this on Patreon, tonight, Mofo's World Cup, FMT World Cup special. D, people want to watch you doing things on the internet. Mm-hmm. Where can they?
Well, if they want to watch me doing things on the internet, they can come to twitch.tv/dboyplays. And we're going to be finishing off, hopefully this week, I'll be finishing off the season with Aarhus from L. And maybe starting a new long-term save.
Well, we got some time or something.
Got a little bit more time. So I figured I'd do something that might take a little bit longer.
Nice.
On the Med Part 2. Electric Boogaloo with more med, more wet.
More wet.
Just more wet. It's just a wetter save in general.
Yeah.
Yeah. Good.
What about
As
you,
it should
Rich?
be. As it should be. My save, which is quite dry, as it turns out. Twitch.tv/RichOwensFM. I've been wildly speculating about finishing some projects on Football Manager, maybe doing some new things as well. As I mentioned to Dee yesterday, the third Bioshock Infinite is free with Twitch Prime at the moment. And if I download that, I've got all 3 of them. And my goodness gracious me, I do love a Bioshock game. Maybe we do that. Maybe we do something else. I don't know. I don't want to commit to anything because it's who I am as a person. But come hang out, see what happens. Could be good, could be terrible. Probably good. Let's go with good. Let's assume good. Thank you, fellas.
Can I interrupt
spending some time with me
very quickly?
Sure.
Lovely get well soon to the United City FM. So he's going for a procedure today or whenever, the Monday. So yeah, get well soon. Hope it all goes well. We've all got our fingers crossed for you.
Absolutely agree.
We love you very much.
Love you, Kev.
Love you very, very much, Kevsy. Yes, thank you for reminding me, Jeb. A very important and necessary interruption. Lots of love, Kev. Hope everything goes as well as it possibly can. So if you are watching or listening to this and haven't done so recently, and I'm assuming you've been watching the podcast for a long time. If you haven't, go back, find an episode with a very, very wonderful bearded man called Kev in it. Watch one episode, instantly fall in love with him. Drop him a little message. Just let him know that you're thinking of him. It will go a long, long way. Love you lots, Kevsy. That's it for us for this week. Thank you, my friends, the FM team, for spending the evening with me. Thank you, the audience, for watching, for listening, however you are consuming this podcast. We appreciate you enormously. If you're watching on YouTube, press the subscribe button if you haven't done so before. Share it with a friend. Go on, do it now. Do it now and then message me to tell me that you've done it. Otherwise, I won't believe that you have done it. Okay, thank you for doing that. Appreciate you enormously. Thank you for joining us for another episode of Football Manager Therapy. We will see you on the next one. Take care. Love you lots. Bye-bye.